Hi, this is Shelley from the Willow Tree Green. I'm trying something different again because this is turning into a new hobby for me, making YouTube videos. So I've decided to use up the remnant of the Urban Outfitters skirt that I had left over from a previous project in making a bag. And I've been wanting to make this crossbody bag from Simply Sewing magazine for a while. I saw So Let's Sparkle with Sam create this a few months ago, and my husband recently went through his wardrobe and emptied out a whole bunch of shorts that don't fit him anymore. So I've carefully taken those apart. I have had a few mishaps where things have got a little bit ripped. Look, if you could see that. This happens if you try and tear things and be quick. I did mostly try to use my seam ripper, but it gets boring after a while. I was doing two different sets of shorts, so a blue set and a brown set. Putting the fabrics together, I do think that the brown is nicer with this as the lining. These are the notions that I got out of it. So the two labels from the shorts and the buttons that came off the shorts as well. They were very well constructed shorts, so they took quite a lot of taking apart. These brown ones have got welt pockets. Don't know if you can see that. So I couldn't really take those apart. So I've left them in, and I may incorporate them into the design of the bag itself as well. So I'm just going to lay out the pattern pieces, cut out the pattern pieces. I don't have suitable webbing. What I have at the moment is this webbing that I bought. Can't remember. I think I bought it at a local Hobbycraft, and it doesn't go. So I've ordered a strap, but it's got metal work at the bottom that probably won't fit in there. So I might need to create a bit to fold over so that I can attach the new strap, so it won't be exactly embedded like this, but I'll work that out when I get there. And I've got a couple of options for zips that I've reclaimed. It requires, so it says here that you will need, I'm trying to see where it shows up on my overhead camera, you'll need 1/2 meter of your main fabric, 1/2 meter of your lining fabric, a 28 centimeter zipper, 1/2 meter of medium weight interfacing, which I haven't yet picked out, a 38 millimeter rectangular loop, 38 millimeters of cotton webbing, and a 38 millimeter buckle slider, matching thread, and a basic sewing kit. So I'm going to, like I said, I've bought I'll put a picture up to show you what it is, but I've bought a complete handle for a bag, so I won't need to do that piece. But in terms of the zipper, this is the zip that I reclaimed from one of the crochet kits that I bought recently, and it's got two zippers that I can use. This is much longer than I need. I'm just going to get a ruler. So it says I need 28 centimeter, which is 11 inches. So as you can see, this is much longer than I need. So I could cut that one down. Otherwise, this is an invisible zip that I reclaimed from the skirt that this lining fabric is from. And this is not quite long enough, so that won't work. So that one only comes into 10 to 25 centimeters. So I think that possibly this one will be the one I go with. I do have other zips. I've got a whole pack of zips actually in my kit that I could look into. I'm just trying to look around at me at the moment to see what zips I've got sitting around, but I haven't got any. I thought I had a green one up here, but it seems to have gone missing. But I think possibly this. I mean, you will only see the teeth anyway, so I'll have a think about that. So I'm going to put all the pattern pieces out, lay them out, and see if I can incorporate some of the pieces from the blue shorts. I'll put some video in of me unpicking some pieces of that. It took me 13 minutes to unpick these pockets, which are they were cargo pants. So there's a Velcro flap that I could use potentially. So while this is the pattern that I'm going for, I have a feeling that I'm going to try and incorporate some of the other bits. But yeah, we'll see. First of all, I need to find a zip though. I'm not convinced this green is the best choice. But anyway, be back in a minute. So zip found from my stash. I thought I had this green, this khaki green colour. It goes nicely with the lining, and I think it will be a nice contrast with this brown. So I never know when they tell you they need 28 centimeters. Do they mean from the silver end of the zip to the front end of the zip, or do they mean including the zipper tape? Never really understand that. If you know, let me know. Okay, so I'm going to lay out the pattern pieces. Trying to find the best angle to have my camera at, and the arm thing that I bought doesn't want to hold up the weight of my phone at the moment, so hopefully you can see. So if I were not feeling lazy, and I would get my iron out, because this was a gathered tier, so it is squeezing itself together a little bit at the top. But this is down here we've got a corner which I know is square, so I'm just going to line up my pattern piece for the pocket here and cut it from there. Don't shout at me in the comments. It's for an internal pocket anyway, so if it's not particularly perfect, I don't think it's going to matter that much. So here we go, just cutting this out. I'm preempting a little bit that this is going to get folded in half. So I don't have a great deal of space on my table for cutting. I should probably just take that all the way up, that's better. So I have to, my sewing machine is pushed all the way up so that I've got as much space as possible. Okay, so making sure it's as straight as I can get it right now without resorting to ironing. I know that my the stuff that I make would be a lot more slick if I did iron it. So that is the crossbody bag pocket cut one lining. So I've done that. Put that away. So next we've got the main body, and it says cut to outer, cut to lining. So let's get the lining back. It says cut to, so I'm going to fold it. Trying to get as much out of the fabric as I possibly can. It's so pretty. I'm almost inclined to put it on the outside, but I think the jeans fabric is better on the outside. So I'm just going to line this up, and I am going to even use pins because it's a funny shape and this fabric wants to move around. So pins out. I have already pinned this to different fabric because I was thinking of using some of the fat quarters that I've got. But then my husband had this moment of clearing out his wardrobe, handed me all these old jeans and shorts, and I was like, perfect. Exactly what I needed. And I'm hoping that this is going to be a useful bag for while he and I go away on our own. Because my son, my youngest son, is 14. He's staying with his sister, who's currently home from university. This would be nice to stick our phones in. So you can probably see I'm not following it exactly. I'm just going around the outer edge, I can always make it smaller, but I can't make it bigger. I just want to make sure it fits. Bit of a curved edge here. You might be able to see the video playing on my watch as I'm doing this, because it's quite handy because I can see what's going on, so it's a bit meta. Okay, so that is that. I'm just going to straighten that. So that's 2 of the lining, and now I need to cut 2 of the main body. So I'm just going to check if it fits on one of these legs, and it does, which is perfect. So I shall fit that on here again. If I were so inclined, it probably would be a good idea to iron it, but I'm not in the mood for that today. So I'm going to fit this on here and re-pin it. I might speed up some parts of this where I can't think of anything to say while I'm doing it. Like this bit. This is where I always end up with a massive mess on my floor that I then have to go and clean up and vacuum, ready for going back to work. Hope that isn't making the camera wobble too much. Any mistakes that I made when I cut the lining, I can correct now. Okay, so I have 2 outer, 2 lining in the main bag piece. This is just some of the leftover thread from where I unpicked. Okay, next piece we have is the side panel. Oh, I should have done this at the same time, it would have saved time. So getting my bits back, probably use the scraps that from that other piece. Let's see if I have enough of this. Oh, just perfect. All right, and then I can just put it on here. I'm just flattening it with my hands as much as possible. I know that I should iron it, although I don't think the iron would actually get all of these creases out because it was obviously in the shape. I think this was the hem actually. So yeah, so that was the bottom of the shorts. So I don't even think ironing would get it out fully. I will give this a really, really good press once I've finished. So again, let's pin this down, stop all those creases coming back. It's no good, I can't cut over my pins. I'm not trying to pattern match or anything like that either. This is going to be in the inside, so it doesn't really matter. Although I'm going to see if I can find a way to bring a little bit of it on the outside. Just some trim maybe, or yeah, I mean, just looking at the bag pattern. So this is the bottom. So you could put some piping in between the side panels and the bottom panel of this other colour of the lining. That might be what I do. So this is the side panel, cut 4, outer cut 4. Okay, well I'm doing 2 right now, so we'll cut another 2. Glad I read that. Otherwise that would have been tricky when I got to the end. So it's cut 4 outer, cut 4 lining, and I've got 2 of each right now. I should be able to get the other 2 of the main fabric out of here. Let's try not to cut my fingers off. So, yep, so that's 4 of that, and I just need 2 more of the lining. So I'm getting my scraps out again to see if I can possibly get 2 out. I actually quite like it when I make a new thing out of something old. I quite like it when you can see some of the original pieces, you know, the lines where the joins were and where pockets were. I quite like that. So I can just about squeeze another one of these on. I'm going to take those 2 off because I don't want to accidentally cut through them, and I haven't pinned them down. So I am just going to hold this in place. Any mistakes made on my own? It's a shame this skirt never fit me. I don't know what I was thinking when I bought it. Although saying that, I think there were problems with it because the bottom tier was just so heavily gathered. It didn't ever sit right for me. Okay, so we've got 2 side panels there, 2 of the back, 2 more, and so those are those pieces. What's next? Let's put that on my sewing machine out of the way. So next we have the bottom, and it says cut 1 outer, cut 1 lining. Let's see, this might be tricky because these are the pieces that have got the oh yeah, that's a shame. I should have thought about that. Oh dear. So be interesting to include a welt pocket in the bottom of the bag. Would that look weird? Did I do it? I think it's the only way I'm going to get the bottom out. Obviously it's going to be a lot narrower than it currently is. But this curves up as well. So the welt pocket would actually sit about there. I think that, yeah, should we do it? Should we do it? Yeah. Why not? There is a button, so there's a buttonhole there, and I actually removed the button from the back here. So I could always put that button back on if necessary. Why not? I'll just stick a pin in the middle there, because obviously there's the lining of the pocket. And if I was clever, I would do the lining bit at the same time, but I think because of that pocket, I'm going to play it safe and just do one at a time. You're witnessing my truly awful cutting ability. Should I leave that? Cut through it and cut through it. Gets a bit tougher there. 7 layers. But I can just sew that back up, so it's fine. And it will get sewn together anyway. You won't even see these rough edges. So yeah, so I've cut a little edge off that pocket. Now for the lining. Single layer. It'd be great if it fit that way, but it doesn't. So I'm gonna, this edge is straighter because the top, this was the top, this was the bottom. So if I line it up with the bottom, I'm more likely to get a straight edge on at least one corner. That clearly is not straight. Just gonna lean on it. And I will still have some left for something else. I might make a pencil case, like a little case to go inside this bag. Possibly. I don't think there's enough there to make a tissue holder. So, cut 1 outer, cut 1 lining, cut 2 outer, cut 2 lining. So yep, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1 pocket, 4 side seams. Okay, what else? So then it talks about the interfacing, but where does the interfacing go? The problem with these instructions that come with sewing magazines is sometimes they're a little bit lacking in terms of information. I see the other thing I didn't see there was binding. Doesn't say anything about binding, but they're definitely using binding. So I have got some pre-made binding, as in store-bought stuff, because I don't really want to waste this on binding, but I don't know. I don't know how much of that I've got. So I've got this blue, but it's not as wide. We'll see. Otherwise I've got scraps of other bits of binding. I might change my mind and put actual binding on it. Can't decide yet. So this is simple enough. Attaching the zip. Where did my zip go? There it is. 1 zip. So first step is attaching 1 outer and 1 inner. I'm just going by the pictures there. There are written instructions here. Step 1, center the interfacing onto the wrong side of the 2 main body pieces and the long bottom panel and press in place. Okay, so didn't tell me to cut interfacing. So what is two main body pieces and long bottom panel and press in place. So the interfacing needs to be cut. So two of those, one of those. I wish they told me that at the beginning. So I'm just gonna grab from under the desk my interfacing bag. It's actually got a load of other stuff in it. I've got much thicker interfacing, but I think this will do. So we need two main body and one of the bottom. So, I always hate undoing these things and then having to refold it afterwards. I'm obviously keeping random scraps for who knows what. Okay. So I need two, so I should fold it. That looks like it should fit. I'm going to have to get my ironing board out after all. Hey. Should have just done it, shouldn't I? Again, being the rebel that I am, I'm not going to pin this. And I'm going to have to go and get an iron. I did have a small, like, crafting iron that I could use on this desk. But when I started making garments more than anything, it was like, I couldn't really fit it on here. It was great for doing things like pin tacks. But most of the time I end up using my big ironing board, so I gave it to my son. My oldest son, that is. My youngest son has no desire to do any type of crafts. Don't think there's any point in keeping those pieces. So that's that. Now I need one for the long bottom. Just looking through the pieces that have fallen on the floor to see if there's anything that I can salvage, but nope. So don't get caught out like I did when you're cutting your pieces. Make sure you cut your interfacing at the same time. Okay. So let's double check. Two main body pieces and long bottom panel and press and paste. So it's interfacing only on the two main body outer pieces and the long bottom panel. It doesn't say both sets of the bottom panel. So I'm going to assume it's just the one. I do have, from a Minerva scrap bag, this black scuba, which is really spongy stuff. So I'm thinking I might wedge that in between the two bottom pieces because it will give the bottom of the bag a lot more, well, I mean, it's very floppy, but it will be a lot thicker on the bottom. So I may incorporate that, and I think it's like the perfect size, which is what made me think of it. Because I've mentioned in a previous vlog about the Minerva scrap bags that sometimes you get usable pieces, sometimes you don't. So I'm just going to cut this to roughly the right size. Doesn't need to be the exact width, it probably should be a little bit narrower. I've got a whole bunch of that left for something else in the future. Okay, so I'm going to go fold up my interfacing and get my ironing board out now. So where I've cut this pocket, it has come apart. So I will need to sew back up these sides to stop it from doing that. I could take it out now. This is where I could do that, but I want to leave it in as a feature. It's fun. I don't want to remove it. And when I put the interfacing on, it might hold it together. So I'm assuming I should put the interfacing on the bottom part. So I'm not sure how that's going to work with this pocket. So here's my interfacing, and I don't know if you know, but interfacing, the iron-on type, has got a bobbly side where the glue is, and a soft side. So as long as you've got the gluey side face down to your fabric, you'll be fine. I don't want it to stick to my iron, so I'm going to make sure I'm ironing it from this direction. Obviously my pocket in my shorts is causing me a small issue. Oops, I don't want to misalign that. Okay, that'll do. Then I should just stand here, let it sit for a minute, rather than, you know, moving it like a proper iron, because the point is that it bonds the glue to the fabric. And if you're just moving your arm around lots and lots, it's not going to do that. So I'm just resting my iron on the fabric for a bit and then moving it to the next spot. As a new sewer, whenever I do things like this, I always think I'm teaching everybody to do what they already do. So apologies if you know this already. I figured I might as well just say all of the steps. So this isn't going to be fully bonded to the bottom because of this pocket. So I think what I'll do next is probably sew the edges of that pocket down. I might just pin them for now. It's hot. I'm just going to pin them in place to keep them from flopping open. For now, but there we go with the interfacing on the back. So that's the bottom of the bag, and it's going to have that funny little pocket. So I was hoping to do a make with me kind of vlog on that one, but it was just proving too difficult to film, so I gave up in the end and I did all the sewing. I did take some photos as I was doing it. At one point I was sewing through at least 5 layers of fabric, so it's something to bear in mind if your machine isn't up for it. I do think the little bag itself is very cute. I do. And I think it will hold a lot of, well, it'll hold both our phones and the chargers and things like that. So it's going to be very useful for when we go on holiday, because we have got plans to do a fair bit of walking, because we haven't got a teenage boy complaining all the time. So, yes, there was my solution with the belt loops from the old pair of shorts. And yeah, I did get the internal pocket in, but it's quite floppy. I think if I were to make this again, I'd possibly interface the internal pocket. It doesn't, I don't think it tells you to do that anywhere. Just going to check now. These instructions were the worst. I was trying to follow it. I kept coming back to it and trying to match up the photos to the instructions, and there are several sections where I couldn't find any numbers to match it, so it was very confusing. Sewing the pocket, so fold the pocket in half and top stitch. So no, it doesn't say anywhere about putting interfacing. hold one side of the interior lining on the completed piece and move the rest of the fabric away. Yep, so it doesn't say about it at all. So those are the photos relating to putting the pocket on. Because I'd already sewn my bag most of the way around, what I ended up doing, I turn it inside out. Oh, and I also quilted the bit of scuba that I had to the bottom. So it's just, you can't see it because I've used thread that matches, but there's a diamond shaped quilting there, so it's a little bit sturdier on the bottom. So as I was sewing the binding around the outside where the pocket was, I literally just attached the pocket to the side at the same time and then sewed it all together. And so the pocket went in just as it would have anyway. I do think that is too floppy though. It should be interfaced. But it does look nice and neat on the inside if you ignore the twistiness of my binding. Yeah. Adam Sews does it so neatly. But I really like, I know you can't just about make it out there, the quilting. And I wish I had figured out a way to bring the colour, this bit of fabric on the outside. I might make a key fob or something, you know, to hang on the outside. So, final thoughts on this pattern. I think, well, first of all, my sewing wasn't perfect, could be better. So if you have a look at the way the zip is put in, you can see that it's not perfectly in the middle there. And I have a tuck there. And I also have a couple of tucks on this side as well. They don't structurally cause any issues with the bag. I'm not particularly bothered about them being there. This is going to be my bag for carrying around on our walks on our holiday, and it's probably going to be muddy and rainy, so it's absolutely perfect for that. I'm happy, very happy with my solution and using the belt loops so that I can attach any kind of handle I feel like when my new handle arrives, which is hopefully today, so I can check if it's suitable. But I have other handbags with detachable handles, so I can do what I want. I could even make some out of another fabric, in fact. So lots of options for me there. I really like the way it looks inside. This is very bulky, so where it's bound and the various layers are bound together, it does get very bulky there. But it also gives it structure, so you can see it stands up really nicely and it's got a decent amount of weight. And that might be because I put the bit of scuba in between the two bottom layers as well. Also, interesting thing that worked out, where I included the welt pocket from the original pair of shorts, it perfectly fits my iPhone. So obviously my pop socket is in the way a little bit, but it perfectly fits in there. So that was a very, you know, serendipitous moment when that happened. And it was also tight enough so it didn't just fall out. So fantastic. I was very happy about that. So, but that was a pure fluke. Didn't plan it, but it did work out really well. It does remind me of a banana a little bit, the way this bag sits. Yeah, and obviously I included the original shorts label on the front there, which I was really glad I remembered to do before I put the two innards together. Things didn't line up properly, probably relating to my the way I sewed it and the way I cut it out. The end result, perfect though. I'm absolutely really happy with it. The pattern itself, I would say, if I had read it very, very clearly from front to back, if you like, there may have been points that I missed. So, for instance, it's not clear what's the front and back. You could argue that's the front or that's the front. I don't know. So I was getting all of my information off of this page that says you will need, because if I need something, it made sense to me to look straight at you will need. So I immediately looked at this, and this is where I was complaining about it not saying about the binding that I could see in one of the photos. However, on this page, there's a section here that says cutting out, and this does very clearly say 2 binding pieces, and it gives you dimensions. So I obviously didn't read that. I was looking at the you will need, because that's the bit that I thought I needed to pay attention to. Equally, on the pattern pieces themselves, it doesn't mention the interfacing. So what most pattern pieces would say is you would have cut 2 of the main, cut 2 of the lining, and cut 2 of interfacing. So that would have been really helpful if they'd had that on the pattern pieces. And they could also have included a pattern piece, you know, just the rectangle for the interfacing, because you don't need to use the main fabric or the lining fabric for the interfacing. You can just use regular interfacing. I'm just going to get the one I used. So I had this interfacing that I got from Hobbycraft. I was looking at a narrower one that I had, but it wouldn't have gone around the seams because it's quite a fat, chunky seam. So I used this interfacing rather than using the lining fabric because I had a limited amount of it left. And that worked absolutely fine. So those are my complaints, I guess, with the pattern. I often just went by the pictures because, I don't know, maybe it's just my inability to read things thoroughly. But I just felt that sometimes I had to keep going from, so for instance, here it's got all of the bits with picture 1, and picture 1 is actually over here. So the instructions and the pictures didn't necessarily line up, but I guess if they were trying to get it onto one, you know, a double-sided A3 sheet of paper, that was the only way they could do it. So, but yeah, it was really enjoyable. I am very happy with the end result. I think it looks great, and the fact that it's got a few little sewing mishaps doesn't even bother me. And I quite like the fact that you can see some of the original features from the pair of shorts. So I hope you enjoyed that. Watching me try and fathom my way through this pattern. I would really have liked to have done a full set of step-by-step steps with me, but the setup I've got at the moment doesn't allow me to do proper overhead view. So I did the best that I could and then realized it was probably not going to be that compelling for you. So I've just included a few photos of various steps. But yeah, if you enjoyed that, please give me a thumbs up and a like. And subscribe if you'd like to see any more. And I probably will end up doing some more of these because doing YouTube is turning into a hobby in its own right. So thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.